our acts. The sea can be deep for our diving. Hope comes and stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good afternoon. Happy Thursday to you. We're actually going to do the AA Regeneration, which was the title yesterday, but it wasn't what I talked on. So I figure I'd go ahead and do it. Oh, I was going to do Serenity Prayer. Well, maybe later. I did some sleeping in today. Intentionally, kind of not intentionally. I didn't mean to wake up at 12:30, but I did. First time I feel like in a while, in a few weeks, I felt like I actually got some sleep. So, but I hope everybody's having a good day. Yeah, I'm not sure, usually I do a little bit of yakking before I get started on the topic. What's something I could talk about? How about experience, strength, and hope? I'll talk on it for a minute before I get started. That one. Hi, Amber. It's good to see you. Hello, friend. Hello, friend. Hello, friend. What? Hello, friend. Okay. That's right. I can do an English lady. Not very well, but sounds more like a grandma. Right. But experience, strength, and hope. Quick quip on that. You can't have strength and hope without experience. There you go. A little bit more, right? In order to have strength and hope, you've got to have a little bit of experience under your belt, right? On page 58, talks about what it was like, what happened, what it is like now. What it is like now is the experience. Right? So even with the podcast, the reason I want you to have a little bit of time is so that you have some experience in the program. Otherwise, it's just going to be a very short story about your drinking career. So, not that you can't have strength and hope, but strength and hope tends to come. Well, where does strength come from? Strength comes from having courage and a power greater than yourself, trusting a power greater than yourself. So if you haven't started doing that yet, that isn't quite there. Hope comes from going through those arduous things and coming out the other side. A good example is like my daughter showing up to AA meeting. She chaired yesterday, did a great job. People get other people that are newer in the program whose children aren't in their lives yet get hope from that. And that's kind of how it goes. All right. Welcome to Daily Trudge. My name's Dion. Not sure how long this one's going to be because what we're talking about totally doesn't match up with the reading. We're in AA Comes of Age today. But welcome to Daily Trudge. Dion is my name. Feel free to wear it out. It's all right. just like open-mindedness, willingness, and honesty, my name is kind of indispensable. What an egotistical thing to say. That's why it's so funny. Just like I was just talking with a spotsy, and we were talking about Aurora mental health. I'm like, don't they know who I am? Do they not know who I am? right? And I was joking. And I'm like, I'm joking, except for, this one little part. She's like, and he said, well, even your friends kind of agree with that. I'm like, yeah, I guess my friends do kind of back me up on that, don't they? So, anyway, it isn't so much as, and don't you know who I am and I'm worth it, as much as it is, I've got the answers for you. I can make your job not just better, but actually easier, believe it or not. Yes, I said easier, not easy. You know, we talked about, so here's the thing, when it comes to recovery, if we do not educate ourselves, it doesn't matter whether you're alcoholic or non alcoholic, insanity will ensue. I've tried to explain this to detox. I'm like, what you're doing is not working, but you continue doing it over and over again. And what we call that is insanity because you don't understand the disease. You don't understand it. There we go. All right. So, okay, they didn't learn from the past. And so I'm not sure where to start on this. So I'm just going to start at the top of page 45 of AA Comes of Age. Then it'll be a full page before we get to what we're actually talking about, which is such is the paradox of AA regeneration. But I thought we'd get a little bit of a background on it first, right? So it may feel weird as we start, but we will work through it. We do weird here, no problem. It may be possible to find explanations of spiritual experiences such as ours, but I've often tried to explain my own and succeeded only in giving the story of it. I know the feeling it gave me and the results it has brought, but I realize I will never fully understand its deeper why and how. Yeah, I would agree. All the spiritual experiences I hear from people is just the story of it. And you can't explain it. I've heard Amber say this a few times. If I could explain my higher power, it wouldn't be bigger than me. There we go. That's all I really need. I think it's a great answer. I think it's a great answer because if I understood it, what would I have to strive for? Nothing. I wouldn't have anything to strive for anymore. It's got to be beyond me. I've got to strive. If I don't, that's why everything's off. This has been moved. There we go. I know to you it didn't seem off. I know. But I'm used to looking at it the same way every time. There we go. We're a little bit closer. We AAs had tried out radical and old time formula, one rather out of fashion nowadays, and it had worked. We admitted that we were powerless, that our lives had become unmanageable, and we made a decision to turn our will and our lives over the care of God as we understood Him. Every one of us who could make and fairly well maintain this humbling admission and sweeping decision have found relief from obsession and begun to grow in the totality and wonderfully different mental, physical, and spiritual existence. Ah, just based off a decision. Just made a decision to turn my life over. And miraculous things happen just with that. You don't even have to totally mean it. But the intention's there. So your higher power is listening. They are. But I like this. So when we could make this humbling admission and sweeping decision, we found relief from obsession. It is the obsession is the number one thing holding me back from the sunlight of the spirit. It was the number one thing holding me back from me getting anything done in this world. It's 3:30. How am I going to leave here? Go get that. Do this. Do that. I may have to wrap this up kind of quick. I gotta go pick up my meds. And I was thinking about stopping by the new West Pines and introducing myself. So I'm not sure if I have time. All right. The thought of Dr. Foster Kennedy crossed my mind. Years ago, this noted physician had asked if one of AA's early friends of psychiatry would come to New York Academy of Medicine to explain AA to its neurological section. Since several doctors publicly had endorsed this, some in the Saturday Evening Post part article of 1941, I thought there would be no difficulty about this, but every one of these medical friends of ours rejected this unusual opportunity. Kind of weird. I've been getting turned down too for some opportunities that I've been giving. They're like, thanks for the information. We'll continue working with alcoholism our way. Seriously, you know. So let's find out why they rejected it. Let's see if they tell us. In substance, this is what they said. In AA, we see an unusual number of social and psychological forces working together on the alcoholic problem. Yet, fully allowing for this new advantage, we still cannot explain the speed of the results. They didn't like that it took that it. I'm going to tell you. I now I see it. Now I see it. I would call this embarrassment because they can't do what we do. So therefore, they didn't want to, jump into that. Yeah, the speed. Alcoholics Anonymous will do for you in months what takes doctors and psychologists years of work to do. That's why we don't make it. We don't have years. It needs to be a little, you know, because we talk about the spiritual experience, right? Some are quick and sudden. Some are an educational variety. Even those educational varieties are more quick and sudden than what a psychiatrist can do. Yes, but we still need them. We do. AA does in weeks or months what should take years. Not only does drinking stop abruptly, but great changes in the alcoholic's motivation follow in a few weeks or months. There is something at work in AA which we do not understand. We call this the X factor. You people call it God. You cannot explain God, and neither can we, especially to the New York Academy of Medicine. There was the problem, God. But you can't explain it. So therefore, why would they show up? That makes sense. That makes sense. Today, the X factor is still there. DSM still calls it the X factor. They do not say God in the DSM. They say X factor. So this is the part that we're getting to, and I'm going to kind of start to wrap this up. It's 3:33, by the way. Such is the paradox of AA's regeneration. Strength arising out of complete defeat and weakness. The loss of one's old life is a condition for finding a new one. But we of AA do not have to understand this paradox. We only have to be grateful for it. I don't understand it. I understand the concept. But that's about it. That's the extent of it. I don't know why it works the way that it does. I don't need to know why anymore. I'm just grateful that it does. I'm just happy that I have a new life. That's all I was really, that's all I was really looking for. You know, where let's say somebody gives you a gift just out of the blue. It's not your birthday, it's not Christmas, it's not a holiday. They just give you a gift. Do you ask why? Do you ask why? Well, why are you going to question a free gift from God then? All right. So we're gonna do the reading portion now. 1,000 Beatings by John Barleycorn did not encourage me to admit defeat. I believed it was my moral obligation to conquer my enemy friend. At my first AA meeting, I was blessed with the feeling that it was all right to admit defeat to a disease which had nothing to do with my moral fiber. I knew instinctively that I was in the presence of a great love when I entered the doors of AA. With no effort on my part, I became aware that to love myself was good and right, and as God had intended. My feelings set me free where my thoughts had helped me in bondage. I am grateful. All right. I knew instinctively that I was in the presence of great love when I entered the doors of AA. You just get a feeling. You do. It's a very moving feeling. One I miss. I miss I'm you'll get, and this will happen to you too. Hey Gary, good to see you. This will happen to you too. You'll miss being naive and experiencing all the new things. There's more coming. There's more coming. They don't happen as frequently, but they do come. Patience. Patience. All right. I gotta get out of here. Thank you everybody for being here. I appreciate it. I love you. You know I do. Peace out and have a